But moving on, I wanted to discuss the other tools out there that teachers might be using or considering as they move into distance learning. And so, Jaquetta, I wanted to hand it over to you to share a little bit about some of your favorite tools to use alongside PBS content and PBS learning media.
Okay, great. So one of my favorite tools that I love to use is called Flipgrid. And one of the things I would just like to throw out before we even begin talking about this tool is that teachers, as you're beginning to use all these tools, take some time to play around with them and get comfortable with them before you start using them with them students. You don't have to master the tool because, again, this is learning for all new, for you as well as your students, but just take some time to play around with the tool. And always think about what skill it is that you want to teach before you jump into a lot of tools, because there's going to be lots of shiny tools out here that we're sharing. And I know this is like really overwhelming, but I always like to just say that, there's a lot of tools. Think about which one you want to use maybe on Thursday and maybe someday. Just want to throw it out because I know it's like a smorgasbord out there and you get really excited about shiny objects if you're anything like me. And then just pick the one that you like to use. So one of my favorites is Flipgrid. And Flipgrid is a video discussion platform. It is absolutely free. The other reason why I like Flipgrid is because as you're choosing to use these tools, you also have to think about students' safety and security. So the students do not have to create an account. It's in a closed environment. That's important as well. So another thing to think about as you use all these tools, you need to think about your school's acceptable use policies and those things, because you don't want kids signing for a bunch of accounts. That's the great thing about things like PBS Learning Media and a lot of the tools that we're sharing today. So what you could do with Flipgrid is you can pose questions, you can embed video, you could just write a prompt, and kids respond using video. This is another great tool because we talk about video and we talked about the use of resources is equity. This is great for English language learners. This is great if I'm using it in a math class to explain a problem. This is good in ELA classes, whether it's pre-K all the way up to, as it says here, into university, if you're using it at a university level. The great thing about Flipgrid as well is that you can also connect with other classes and other educators. So now, how so many kids are in their own little spaces. I can communicate with the class across the country around a prompt, right? So if you take a look at the screen, if you notice the one where it says leave a vibe, is actually a picture of one of my students. So I had used one of the PBS learning videos about college, and we was having this question about what do you want to do when you go to college, right? So she left a video response. She's in her bedroom. She's very comfortable. This is very comfortable. And if you notice down at the bottom, I don't know if you can see, there's a little comment box and there's a little picture of me, because when I responded to her, I responded with a video. What a great way to make that connection with your kids, especially since everybody's in their houses right now, that I left a video feedback for her. But if I chose not to, if I wanted to add additional information, if you notice to the box where it says video feedback, I can grade it inside of here. I can leave her typewritten notes. I can also, all of the students can see all the other students' responses if I choose to. So students can also comment and collaborate with their classmates in this virtual environment using video. The other cool thing that the students like, and I was in high school, but again, this is pre-K, they can add filters, they can add stamps, most students love doing those types of things. So the other great thing about this particular tool, you can download the app, or you also can use it on any platform, tablet, or it's also with the web browser. Because again, when we talk about these tools, we also have to think about what our students have access to. We know that some school districts have full one-on-one, some are using iPads, some students have iPhones, some students are using phones, some students don't have access to any of that. So we have to keep thinking about what can we do to make sure all of our students are still able to reach their maximum potential of learning in these times. So Flipgrid is one of my favorite tools. The next one that I love using is called Padlet. And I always tell people to think of Padlet as virtual sticky notes, Post-it notes. And we know teachers love Post-it notes. So Padlet is a great way to create these virtual bulletin boards. You can post links, you can post documents, students can share, you can do pictures, and everything is in a secure location. Again, students don't have to create an account. If you click on that link for the Padlet, I actually have created an actual Padlet of distant learning resources. So I'm just trying to model what it can look like for you. There's different layouts and formats. So this link will be shared with you later, but this is just a few resources of some of my other favorites that can help you during this time when you're trying to figure out how to do this. So here's some strategies for online learning. There's stuff specifically like how to use Padlet. There's also resources there for that you can share with parents. Because again, during this time, we're also trying to build and support our parents who are becoming teachers now, who, their first teacher, right? What can we help them with resources? Because they're looking for things to do too once the time is off with us giving them resources in an online environment. So those are two of my favorites, Flipgrid as well as Padlet. And again, there's a lot of tools out there. Play around with a little bit. Have your own digital playground, right? And then pick one. Yes.
Great advice, especially as you'll hear about these different tools. This is the time to play around with those tools, isn't it, Jaquetta?
Yes.
And Alethea, I wanted to hand it over to you. I know you use a couple of tools that you wanted to share out.
I do. And I first want to say, don't let this overwhelm you. I have worked, I'm going to give a shout out to Mike Siebel in Virginia, who is as big a geek as I am. And he and I, when we worked together, we would bounce new ideas off of each other, new activities. Find someone to bounce these things off of. Don't feel like you've got to go home tomorrow and try every single one of these activities with your kids. Pick one you feel comfortable with. Two I feel very comfortable with are Google Classroom and the Google Suite. If you can type something in Microsoft Word, you can now use Docs. If you can use a spreadsheet, you can now use Sheets. Slides is PowerPoint. So don't let that freak you out if you're over the age of 25 and that's what you were used to. Google Classroom is a great tool. Today I was watching the news and I got incredibly overwhelmed reading about the current situation. So I got on Google Classroom and I said, hey kids, somebody tell me a joke. And we have gone back and forth with crazy teacher and dad jokes all afternoon. And it has just been so uplifting for me. And it's building a sense of community with your kids as well. So don't forget to do that. I have posted a grid assignment on Google Classroom and asked my kids to do one activity out of there. And if they do all 4 of them, they get bingo, and I'll give them extra dollars in my class management system. Someone asked earlier, how do you deal with kids that don't have internet access? A lot of my kids are just taking a picture of something and texting it to me through Remind, or just having their parent post it on Google Classroom. Also in Seesaw, we did Rube Goldberg projects last week in my classroom. The kids videotaped them and now they're peer reviewing each other on Seesaw, and the kids get so excited about Seesaw. They feel like it's Facebook, it's Instagram, but when they're little kids, when they're 7 through 10 years old, that's all new and exciting to them. So don't downplay the things that seem boring to us. Even something as exciting as getting on Microsoft Paint to them is amazing, or drawing in real paint or drawing in chalk outside and taking a picture and sending it to you. Simple things like Google Meet, our wonderful media specialist has set up read alouds, and teachers in our school are reading at set times during the day, all day long, out loud to kids. Someone asked earlier about copyright issues while long distance learning. While typically that is an issue, right now most publishers are withholding that or are allowing you to use their information and their books as you choose because of the situation we're all in. So look up the publisher of the book. A Twitter is a great resource for that. I'm sure you can find someone there that's going to allow you to use their book. But I would just say find what you're comfortable with and use it. All of these resources are free and they're a great way to get started.
Thank you, Alethea. And I'll hand it over to Deb now to continue this conversation about tools. And you started to talk about Remind, Alethea, and I know that's one we're going to mention a bit later, but Deb has some great tools for the creation process for teachers to make their own videos and share those out as well, and to connect with the students. So Deb, I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, John. I think one of the most important things we need to consider during this time of distance learning is that we need to stay connected to our students, and that can tend to be really challenging when that physical proximity is just not there. A couple of the things I suggest is perhaps doing some recordings, whether it's telling those jokes, as you said earlier, or even just, recording a lesson or an introduction, a morning meeting. Good morning, boys and girls. Here's what we're going to be talking about today. I know you won't all hop on at the same time, but here's something that we can work on over the course of the day. You can use tools like Screencastify, which many of our Google, our Chromebooks have already on them, ready to go. That's one of the great G Suite extensions that we can include. Or you can use something called Screencast-O-Matic. They're both really great resources. I love that the students can really easily make something in Screencastify, tuck it in their Google Drive and share it with me or any one of their friends through Google Classroom or just sharing that link. But I also really love that Screencast-O-Matic allows me to kind of redo things when I've made a mistake, which happens all the time when you're recording. You know, someone walks in the room or the dog starts to bark and you need to stop those kinds of things. And so Screencastify is great, but it's not as friendly when it comes to kind of stopping and redoing. So you can actually pause the video in Screencast-O-Matic and you can recut to an earlier clip and then just redo from there instead of redoing the whole piece. So that's just a little suggestion for you. They're both really amazing to use. I would recommend you explore both of them and determine which one is better for your need. Think about that problem of practice that you have and then find the tool that's going to best fit that problem of practice. The other tools that I recommend are either Google Meet or Zoom. As you can see right now, we're all asynchronously collaborating together, and that's really important. It's important that your students feel as if they can be part of that classroom, even if they're not sitting next to one another within the four walls of that classroom. And so with Google Meet or with Zoom, you can actually have an interactive session where they can come on in and they can ask questions. You can record that session and you can share it out for those kiddos who weren't able to join you during that opportunity, and they can watch it later. And then popping it into Google Classroom or your learning management system, whatever that might be, means that they can watch it on their time. They can provide you feedback, and maybe they can use some of those other tools that we've already talked about to engage with that video that you've created and make that experience last longer than those few minutes that you actually took to record.
Thank you, Deb. And for Alethea, I'll pose this to you. For some of the tools that we've seen tonight and that you highlighted, how does that work for students on mobile devices? Would you say that they integrate fairly well with mobile devices?
Oh, very well. I actually have been using my laptop, my iPad, and my iPhone. And before I had an iPhone, I had a Droid. So it worked on all of them seamlessly. It's super easy. And to be honest with you, the kids are better at this stuff than we are.
Jaquetta, I don't know if you want to add anything with like Flipgrid or Padlet and mobile integration.
Yes, all of them, both of them have apps that you can download and you will get a different interaction, but you can easily download them on your mobile devices regardless of platform, which I think is great. And I just wanted to throw out there, when you see all these tools, also, if there's any tool that you see and you want to use, I promise you, if you go to YouTube, there's someone that explains how to use the tool, because that's the other thing. So yes, you can play around with it, which I love to play with, but sometimes I like to watch a video that helps me explain it as well. So please go to YouTube, type in any of these tools. I promise you, there's a video that someone has done a great job explaining how to use it step by step.
Just to really add on to that, if you check online and go right to the creator of whatever it is you're using, most of them have their own YouTube channels as well. So not only has someone else created a video for that, but you can actually collaborate and communicate with the people who have created this product. You can ask them questions in their chat down at the bottom underneath the video, and you can subscribe and follow them online so that you can then find some of those things. And every time they put out a new video, you can be the first one to find it and share that with all of your colleagues.
Yes.
Thank you, Deb. And Alethea, a question came in about these tools, especially for kindergartners. And I know that Seesaw is a great tool for our young learners as well.
Seesaw is fantastic for kindergartners. We have a lot of teachers using it for morning meeting right now. Kids just push the plus button and they can draw a picture. They can narrate a story. They can just take a picture of something that they've done. They can easily chat with the other people. You can even just click the little world and it adds it to a blog so the parents can see it as well. It's super user-friendly and easy. I bet if you put it up there right now and tell your kids to figure it out, they could make you a video to teach you how to use it. It's pretty great.
And to that end, we've had a lot of questions about resources for pre-K and our young learners. And I want to reassure everyone that goes into PBS Learning Media, you can filter by the grade levels, and we have amazing content for our early learners. and we have curated collections that we can send out and provide you all. And then also, I'll highlight this at the end, but our PBS Kids team has created a daily newsletter. And so if you're an early childhood provider, we can send you that newsletter. You can add your name, and I'll have the link at the end, and you'll have content coming to you each day with some suggestions for activities that go along with that content. And then again, we have within our emergency closing collection, we have some great content curated for our youngest learners. So I want to reassure everyone that we do have great media for our pre-K learners and kindergarten learners.